Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and RemarkableResults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey, welcome everyone. Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. Honored to have Shawn Gilfillan. Hi, Shawn.
How you doing, Carm?
I'm great, man. Automotive Magic. How long you been doing that?
Let's see, Automotive Magic, we founded and started that place up in 2003, April Fool's Day. My big joke to myself, I got my own business now. Now what?
2003. I mean, that's kind of an anniversary.
Just 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. April, your April Fool's joke there.
So what was I thinking?
Yeah, I know. Two places, Kenvil and
Lake Hopatcong.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I can't say that ever. Hopatcong.
Hopatcong.
Every time I look at the words and I try to say it, my tongue goes sideways. I don't know why. I just don't. You're also work with Life Calibration.Com.
Yep, work with Chris Lawson, and also got Magical Solutions going, which is a little bit of a high-performance team coaching program we put together for shop owners that want to elevate their team's performance. So a lot of big stuff's been happening in the last couple of years. It's really exciting.
You're rocking, baby. Always great to have someone on the show willing to give up some really cool information about themselves. I call this show 20 Questions in 30 Minutes.
20 questions in 30 minutes. Better hurry up.
All right, buddy. So how'd you decide to become a shop owner?
Shop owner. It started way back when I first started working on cars in the garage with my dad and always wanted to do it. I had a couple of bosses through the years. One particularly, I was working at a Midas, and he kind of looked at me one day and said, "You're going to have your own shop someday." I was always willing to jump in, grab the phones, help a customer, take somebody home, whatever it was, just to kind of be a part of the service side of it. After that, I worked a couple other places, and I guess finally pushed me over the edge is really interesting. I didn't discover it until about 10 years after I was in business working on a little bit of self-development. But I was working for a guy and I was dating a girl just 20 years ago, right? 20 plus years ago, when she was going away to college up in Connecticut. I don't believe in long-term relationships, and I'm going to get my MBA, and you're just a mechanic, so I'm going to break this one off. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And we had a lot of fun through the summertime, and I thought we had a good thing going. I kind of looked at that and I was like, "Man, I am just a mechanic." I turned around and whatever went off in my mind, it said, "You know what? It's time. I'm going to open up a shop. I'll show you." And I didn't talk to that girl for about 10 years when I realized, what it was that had me push over the edge and quit where I was at. There was some unethical stuff going on. I really didn't enjoy the place I was at. And I was like, "You know what? I'm out of here." And when I was doing some self-development program, like a little retreat over a weekend, I was like, what really pushed me to go? And I realized it was that girl that I dated 20 years ago or 10 years ago at the time when I discovered this. And I reached out and I said, "Hey, Facebook, I'd like to have a conversation." And I let her know that she was what pushed me over the edge. Turns out first marriage didn't work out so well. And now I'm actually married to the girl that kicked me over the fence to open my own shop. So it's pretty awesome.
Married to Victoria.
Married to Victoria.
Thank you, Victoria, in so many ways.
Right?
I love it.
Looking back through all the different things that happened, it was like, wow.
That's a great story.
Times she popped up and we just never really connected after that. And I was kind of like more still in the whole mindset of like, I was just a mechanic. Now what? Right.
Part of the story. I mean, there's so many things to unpack here.
Yeah.
I'm just a mechanic. I mean, you didn't accept the fact that you were just a mechanic. You had something else deep inside of you that pushed you. And then when you came back to realize what was my motivation, and it was Victoria, deep inside, you never really knew it until someone asked you, how many other people in our industry, Shawn, have this deep-seated something that motivated them to become an entrepreneur shop owner? Wow. I bet you've met a lot of them and probably have helped them by telling this story.
There's always a lot of things that when you look back and you kind of do some discovery on what really made me do it.
Yeah.
I was always afraid to do it on my own. What am I going to do if it doesn't work? And that fear of failure, that just was that one thing that popped me over the edge and said, "I'm jumping over the fence."
The whole fear thing is huge in life, period. No matter what it is that you want to do. I don't care if it's sports, whatever. There's a fear factor many of us have to come up and over. Did you ever have a mentor to help you with any of that?
I've had quite a few through the years. I always tended to pay attention to people that had what I want or have been where I'm at. I've always been a really good listener. So I put myself in areas or I'd say environments where there's people that are better than me. And I always kind of looked up to that and was always a big help, and just befriending them and really listening attentively and taking advice. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You can always make your own choices. But I got a lot of really good input from previous owners that I worked for, from other shop owners locally. My dad was a tool salesman for 40 years. So he drove around one of those Cornwell tool trucks. So the relationships that I had with some of the local guys, even around here, was a lot different than I would say just some shop owner walking off the streets. Hey, my dad's the Cornwell guy. So
I love the idea of listening. And so much of what I do when I listen is I store the thoughts that I have about what I just heard. And I never know when I'm going to pull it back, or it's going to motivate me to take something off the shelf from years ago
right.
and say, that wasn't really a bad idea back then. So, wow. Mentors, yes. Listening, yes.
Yes.
Wow. Do you do anything for fun, or you just
Being
work,
willing
work,
to
work,
ask for
work,
help.
work? Yeah.
Let's see, fun stuff. Well, I love anything that burns fuel. Quads, snowmobiles, fast cars. I've recently got into aviation. So those are not miles per gallon, but the miles or gallons per hour. So depending on how hard you stay on a throttle up in an airplane, it lasts a little bit longer.
Okay, I am so curious about this because I love flight and how it all works. I don't know enough about it. I envy people who have their license and who fly. Okay, so do you own your own plane yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so you rent something, or you're going to go up for an hour, whatever, however it works. What do you got to pay for the fuel?
Well, fuel's about $5.50, $6 a gallon. It fluctuates just like automotive fuel, right?
Okay, yeah.
During COVID, it was a little high. The usual Cessna burns around 8 gallons an hour when you're up there. So
So you got about $40 in the fuel.
about $40 in fuel for an hour.
That's not
And
bad.
usually
Now, do you have
planes you
to
can
have,
rent from $150 an hour
okay,
as well.
so you rent the plane, you pay for the fuel. Can you fly on your own, or you have to have someone with you?
So I can fly on my own. I've soloed, but have not gotten my certificate yet. So I'm not going to take anybody else in the plane
I see.
with me,
I
other than an
see.
instructor.
So it's really not that expensive of a hobby.
It's not.
Hmm.
Now,
Listen,
there's a lot of other ways to rent planes. You can become a member of a club and rent a plane by the hour. You're only renting it for the hours that you fly it. So if you wanted to take it someplace, and obviously you'd end up having to pay to park it, hangar or something like that.
yeah, let me know so that I could say that I know someone who owns a plane. Actually, I actually do know a few.
Yep.
What gets you out of bed in the morning?
What gets me out of bed in the morning? Well, I love getting up and seeing what the day has to offer. Always new lessons to learn. I love creating opportunities for other people to thrive. So always kind of looking at how we can elevate everybody else's performance all the time. And that just drives me, watching people succeed.
Give me an example. Most recent.
Let's see. Most recent, I'd have to say we've really made some ground with our management team this year, and given everybody an opportunity to own part of the business, would be more of a profit sharing entity, and really having them come in. We actually had two other shop owners with my manager there, and we broke down our income statements up on the whiteboard, and we really started to look at how each one of us were managing our businesses, numbers side by side, and really kind of came up with a couple of different adjustments to make in our shop and in the two shops that were there as well. And I think when they all went back to their shops, and my manager's now running my shop as if he owns the place, it's kind of really cool to have them dialed into the numbers, knowing where we're at, what we got to do to change. And just, I think when people see an opportunity where they can use their superpower, their brain, the way that it works for them, as opposed to trying to learn something, usually you can crack something open there. It really makes a difference. We've set some goals for this year, and I think we've got the three shops. We're racing against the time up to December to see where we all land.
Good for you. I got to do a shameless plug about Where the Money Goes, an episode that I did with way back, and I'm trying to remember the number. And anyway, my downloads page on the website has this great download of Where the Money Goes. It's about 4 or 5 slides, and it's actually got a profit and loss statement there. It may not be yours, but it's a great way to start to explain what a P&L looks like and actually where the money goes. Patrick McHugh is who did it with me a while back. I have a link to the episode and a link to the download on the downloads page on my website, remarkableresults.biz/downloads. Okay. Any great advice that you may have gotten over the years, Shawn, that you still consider gospel today?
There's two of them. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real.
Okay.
Right. And then another one is really my job as an owner, CEO, is to make sure I'm not needed. And sometimes that becomes a full-time job. So always be willing to step in and do everything you can to make sure that you're not needed, by empowering your people to run with the ball.
Hey, it's no secret. We're facing a technician shortage, and Napa Auto Care has a solution with the Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program. The program was pioneered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and Master Technician Jake Sorensen from McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah, realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought after these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, and they are classroom training videos exclusive to the apprentice program. Now, these videos provide in-depth training from a successful master technician. Also, Autotech classes with instructor-led courses offered through Napa Autotech and Autotech e-learning. This web-based e-learning is designed to target specific training topics. And finally, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos, Autotech instructor-led training, and Autotech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Look, having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. And in most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you'll begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. One of the largest barriers to entry for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Now, keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. Now, Napa Auto Care has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool cart for all registered apprentices. Hey, to learn more, members can visit member.napaautocare.com. It had to be a big move to try to figure out how to get up and over fear for you.
Well, just jumping out of planes helps.
Oh, it would probably do it for me too.
Right.
So you do parachute?
8 times I've jumped. Yep.
Good for
I was
you.
thinking about learning how to do that also. I love flying, right? I love being up in the air. I love the view from standing up and above. Look at our business like from 30,000-foot view. What's going on
Oh,
and really kind of
God.
checking it out, right? So
Cool metaphor. Hey, guys, I have landed and I saw something completely different than I never expected because I was thinking about the business from up there.
right.
Not that you would be up at 30. What do you get up when you jump? Is it 8, 9, 10?
About 14, 13.5, 14,000. Yep.
Wow.
You can't stay there for very long or you end up losing all your oxygen. But
Okay.
once you're out
Interesting.
of the plane, you drop pretty quick, about 120 miles an hour coming at the ground.
I have a good friend. He's retired from jumping, but unbelievable stories he would tell me and good stuff. They would get in these parachutes and they would land at stadiums and events here in Western New York. Read any great book recently?
Oh, I'm always kind of doing 2 or 3 at a time, but one that has really stuck out for me with that question is Hero on a Mission by Donald Miller. Gives you a little perspective of how you may be acting and or being during the day, as well as your employees. It breaks the human context down into 4 areas: the hero, the villain, the victim, and the guide. And I tend to, as an owner, I've always wanted to be the hero and jumping in and helping out and getting the answer or whatever it is, or solving the problem with the customer. And now kind of more regressing to that guide role and getting them to be the hero, creating heroes below me, and also being able to pick up when somebody's maybe playing that victim role and or the villain. Sometimes you got to be the villain too to poke somebody and get them moving, right? So we tend not to digress into each and every one of those all the time, but I think really staying towards the positive side of the guide and the hero versus the negative side of the victim and the villain, we can look at our lives and really kind of fit one of those 4 into everything that goes on all day long. And
I love it.
it's neat to be consciously aware of that as it's happening.
Yeah, Donald Miller wrote StoryBrand that I read, but
Yep.
I'm not sure I read this one. Was this a later book after StoryBrand?
Yep, it was after StoryBrand, and he also did Business Made Simple was another good one that we went through. It actually frames out a business in the context of an airplane.
Absolutely. Read that one. Donald Miller, great author, great author. I know if you go to the books page on our website, you'll find Donald Miller's book there.
Hero on a Mission.
Hero on a Mission. So how does one start to build a strong business culture? Because we talk about it all the time. It's, I think, a fearful and a daunting task for many.
Yeah, and I think the big shift for me when I went from the small shop where I started in '03 in a 2,000 square foot shop to the bigger shop in 2009, when I had to double the staff, it was a big learning lesson for me. And I'd had a really good culture because there was only three of us. It was easy to have a culture. And when you got to double the staff and you start putting people together and they may not have the same beliefs, we've gotten way better at hiring nowadays. But back then it was just like, hey, you can fix a car, come on in. And it was a lot of work trying to get everybody to rally up and be on the same team. But I'd say the biggest thing for creating a culture is from the top down and you being authentic with your people and letting them know what's going on inside your head instead of being pissed off about it. If somebody leave tools laying around, an air hose on the floor, I'd just get mad and be like, they don't care about the place, instead of saying, hey, as I walked through the shop today and I saw the air hose laying on the floor, this little voice went off in my head and said, you guys don't care about the place. The hose is on the ground. Somebody could drop something on it. And just being able to express and share your thoughts in a way that's not an attack or make somebody feel like you're getting pissed off at them or whatnot. It gives really be authentic with your feelings.
Authentically, it's costs, it's safety. I mean, those are things I think you can talk about and help build that kind of safety and cost containment structure. I got to ask a very important question. Here I am, a shop owner, and I have three people. I am so small, I don't need a culture. My answer to that, and I can't wait to hear yours, is you cannot afford not to have one. And it is a perfect time to start building it.
100%. And when it was small, you don't really recognize, and especially me being new in business with having three people, which I'm included in one of those, right? So there was only me and two other people. It was more of a friendship. And to have a team of three people, yeah, there's sports that you need one person on the team, right? And then there's sports where you need 30 people on the team. And it really is I think the more the personalities start to pile into the funnel, you really recognize who people are. Some people can say they're coming to work and leave their home life. I don't believe that at all. It's like we're all part of life. You're not going to leave something at the door when you come in here. I think the support, the culture that we've created at Automotive Magic and Magic Lube and Rubber, our core values are service, trust, relationships, integrity, value, and excellence. And when you can live into those every moment and know that you're there, or when you can have your team point out when somebody's not living up to one of those expectations, I think that's when the culture really starts to take off, is when it's managed not only by the owner or the manager in charge, it's managed by the entire team and it becomes one.
Let's stay on this topic just for an extra minute. My question to you is, how do you
Yeah.
start when you're really small? And I just want to start the dialogue here. You get up in front of your people and you tell them your story. And maybe many of them don't know where you came from. The story of Victoria is an example, right? And
Right.
here I am, here's my story. And on top of that, let me tell you my vision. I didn't start the business if I didn't have a vision of where I expected it to be. So that's down the road. It's now and down the road. And to your point earlier about the values, to me, if you could start that with your people, not heavy all in one big hour meeting, but start with story, start with vision, the next meeting, start with values and congeal that. Put that, as my grandmother said, put it all in the pot and we got sauce at the end of the day, right? And it cooks. Give me an idea how I would start.
I would say first you got to visualize how you want it to be. It's your shop. Then you really got to surround yourself with people who believe the same way of life that you do. And I
There you
think
go.
that's really where the rubber meets the road. If you're bringing people on board that don't believe in it right out of the gate, you're not hiring really well. That's where I was going when I said we've gotten better at hiring these
Yeah,
days
yeah, yeah.
because we share our core values on an interview, right? Is this something you can align with? We ask questions that would tie those potential candidates in. Do they really believe what we believe when it comes to taking care of people?
Yeah.
And it's really evident when you start asking questions, the way people answer. You just got to be good at listening. I think we talked about that earlier.
Yes, we did. So, okay, every business today, no matter how big, how small, needs a client experience officer, a CXO. And we know that you can't hire one, but everyone has a role of making sure that the client's experience is number one. I do believe that in the top 5 strategies of 2024 is going to be the client experience, because competition is going to get tough. The economy is in whatever shape it is in for people. They may not have the kind of money we've expected over the last maybe 2.5 years that they had. So experience. What are you guys doing about that?
We really focus, especially when somebody new comes in, to find out what they need, expect, and want from us, and what they need, expect, and want from the vehicle that they're bringing in. I think those are important. We call it the new way of doing business. NEW, needs, expectations, and wants. And it works. And even some of your older clients, when they come in, asking them, say, hey, we're working this whole new program out. We got these DVI, digital inspections, and we're really doing our best to make sure that we're serving you the way that you expect us and want us to as your service facility. And we also want to make sure you get what you need, expect, and want out of your vehicle. So we're here to more educate you on how to get there.
How do you build strong relations with clients? Is it this, the need, expectations, and wants?
Just being there for them. Sometimes even they come in and taking notes about their family members, their dogs, their animals when they come in the door, and really remembering and having something to jog your mind of, hey, Mr. Jones got a dog named Fluffy. Ask him how Fluffy's doing. Sometimes you might ask a question that could get answered when Fluffy's not with us anymore, and you feel like, oh man, wrong question today. But just being a part of their life, I think, is what's there. Having them become part of the family, come with open arms.
So can you be a great leader if you don't like change?
That's a good question. I don't think if you're not changing, I don't think you're leading much. I would have to say
So,
no, of my personal opinion.
how's your business changed in the last couple of years?
Oh gosh, change, it just happens instantaneous. I'd say the biggest one, 2021 manager running a day-to-day operations. And I got a call on a Sunday from his wife or his girlfriend. She didn't know he was planning on asking her to marry him. She gave me a call and said, hey, you got to get over here quick. Steve is blue and cold. And I said, what? Yeah, that call on a Sunday morning, and you lose your manager that's running a day-to-day operations, building a house and opening up a second location. For me, it was just like, oh my God, what do I do? And I was also going on vacation with my family 2 weeks down to Punta Cana. So all this stuff landed right in front of me. And I got to tell you, the relationships that we only build with our people, everybody stepped up. A friend of mine, Russ from Russ's Wrench in Clinton, New Jersey, he's been on a
Mhm.
podcast with you before. He actually came up and ran my shop for 2 weeks so that I can go on vacation with my family, and left his shop there. And he's got a good crew, had him able to do that. Yeah, that was probably the biggest change for me, and where I felt like I was going to fall back into having to do it all. My mindset right there said, nope, we're going to find the right person. And we were able to hire a gentleman within a few weeks, Albert. He's really running both of our locations better than I am. He's doing it all, and having everybody collectively picturing what we want, and that visualization of what does a manager look like to bring in to not only complement what Steve was able to do, but to even give us up to that next level. Just having him show up was huge. And then changing our leadership structure and having everybody kind of pull together, that really was what proved to me that our culture was really strong and welcoming to new people that believe what we believe and how to service people. That was a huge game changer.
I could tell in your voice, I could tell in your posture that you survived it, you toughed through it, but you learned a ton, probably to rely on your people. I mean, you probably attacked the challenge via team. Wow, huge. If you had a superpower, baby, what would it be?
Superpower, love.
And if you needed and wanted an instant skill, what would that neat new skill be?
So looking back when I first opened the shop, I had this dream of maybe doing some magic tricks for kids' birthdays. It was one of those things on the side. I
I
was playing around
love
with card
it.
tricks and stuff. So if I could pick that up instantly and not have to go through all of the time to play with the cards and really learn it, I would want to learn how to do professional magic.
Professional man.
The Matrix, plug the thing in the back of my head, and now I know how to do it. That'd be
I,
fantastic.
I got to tell you, you're hitting on some really buzz things for me, the flying thing and the magician thing. My challenge every time I see magician, up close magician, not the ones on TV that you can't see all the whatever. I'm always watching their hands, and I'm probably doing the wrong thing. There's probably other things to be looking. I find it fascinating that the dexterity of so many magicians is just unbelievable. And like singers, like sports people, they have to practice. All right, gross margin hack for us.
Gross margin hack. It's not, I wouldn't say it's really a hack, but it's something to keep your front end conscious of where your margins are at on every ticket. It's a really easy way to do is we grab our cost of parts for the ticket once the estimate's written, and we multiply it by 4, which would have your parts cost be 25% of your ticket, or we multiply it by 5, which would have your parts margin be 20% of the ticket, and make sure you're kind of fitting in there. Obviously, on an engine replacement or a transmission replacement, that wouldn't work. But just for overall, if it seems to be a little bit low and you want to keep your parts cost of parts below that 25% mark on every ticket, what are the things that you may have missed on it? Maybe a rotate and balance alignment, and it just keeps everybody thinking to make sure that we're looking at that on every ticket.
Don't you have a matrix in your computer?
Yeah, they're in there. You write a ticket up, and it might be parts heavy. and let's say we spend $300 on parts and the ticket only ends up being $600. Well, your cost of parts can be about 50%. So is there anything else that we might be able to offer to this client to have them purchase an alignment? Tires are wearing funny, rotate, balance, and alignment. Jump your labor up a little bit to get that parts cost down a little bit.
I see.
So it's just kind of consciously checking it out, making sure that things are in line. Like I said, it doesn't work on every single ticket, but it's always something to just be conscious of.
Well, you and I could do a whole show on that. A whole show. Car count ideas at all?
Car count ideas. As far as I tend to notice sometimes when we throw some kind of big promotion out, like we do a Christmas special, we just do a $25 gift certificate to all of our clients for Christmas, and it tends to flood the doors. And sometimes, making sure the shop is cleaned up and prepared for that is key. But when you got too much coming in and you feel like you're putting people off till next week or the week after, is one of those things where you got to have some kind of agreement or almost like a flow meter on your cars and be really good at scheduling and making sure that you're keeping up to date with what's going on in the shop. You sell a big job on a car and now you got 8 more coming in. How do you rubber band that? So I tend to let them manage the car count. I wouldn't say car count's always the answer. It's really making sure that you're serving who's in front of you at that time and not rushing anybody.
It's your job to open the spigot or close the spigot.
And or work with the team. We always are looking at least 1 week out with what work we have sold, scheduled, and on the ground, because we do have a lot of recommended repairs coming back. That's one of the things we really are doing better at, is getting those cars back in 3, 6, 9 months down the road for the repairs we've already planned for,
Yep.
that the people have now budgeted for, so they know they're going to be spending that money on their car. And scheduling those, having the parts on the ground really boosts our efficiency because we're not waiting for the parts to get there and then fixing the car the same day. It's almost like scheduling forward. And we tend to leave at least 5 slots open per day. We shoot for about 10 cars a day at our big shop. And we tend to want to leave 5 slots open. We want to schedule 5 jobs that we know we're going to get done that day. And I mean, you could have 4 cars towed in on top of that, and then you're managing what's next. Always looking out front is, I think, is the biggest thing there with the car count for us.
I think you just said you were out about a week. A year ago, how far out were you?
We have cars scheduled out 6, 8 months. When they leave today, we're putting them out there, but we're looking a couple weeks, even a month out, calling, confirming those. If we need to bump those with our car count, that's like our rubber band.
Yeah, Shawn, is this maintenance that you're booking out or deferred work or both?
Yep,
Both.
both.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. The client doesn't leave unless they have a future. You didn't get that front end work today, but you need it. I know your time is tight. Let's book this. If something comes up, please, you can cancel anytime, but at least let's get this locked in.
Yep.
And people are saying yes to this.
Oh, yeah. We set a reservation for them, and we really do stress the fact that we are busy. So we're going to reserve a spot for you 2 months from now, and we're going to get you back in. Tuesdays are usually good for you. Yep. Okay, great. And if there's anything that changes as we come up, we will be calling you about a week out to confirm this appointment or maybe move it if need be. And those, like I said, for a week out, we call and say, hey, Carm, I know we got you scheduled for next Tuesday, your reservation. Would it be possible to move that out till the following week? Would that be okay with you? And then we can kind of keep that flow going.
Okay.
It takes a lot of intention and it takes a lot of focus to make it work. And I'm not going to say it's perfect by any means. It'll drop out sometimes. And it's like, hey, we noticed at our weekly meeting, we didn't schedule ahead next week. And now we got a pile of work to get done.
Yeah.
And or if somebody's out, that usually is the one that puts the wrench in the mix. We have our CSRs out for a day, or our service advisor takes a day, and sometimes those things happen. It's just part of managing the day-to-day, right?
Okay, big takeaway here is the word reservation. As so many, Shawn, that are working on that dental hygienist concept that you can't get out of the chair unless you have your next teeth cleaning scheduled, maybe the word that you need to take to your people, to your counter, and to your clients is let's set a future reservation. Maybe that's the word that breaks through to the customer, that breaks through to your people, that we need to do this. Now, you probably have a policy that this is how we do it and why we do it. It's tough to go out and say to your people, hey, let's try this. What do you think of this? And then it just falls on its ass and nothing ever happens. In fact, someone recently said, Carm, stop selling and start telling. Think about that. Don't sell this to your people. Tell them it's reservations. This is what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it. And watch you in May and see the cars that are already booked.
Yeah. And I think the easiest thing to get your people to switch what they're saying, whether it be appointment or reservation. Well, you got a doctor's appointment or a dinner reservation. Which one do you want to go to? It's
All
pretty
right,
simple, right?
Shawn,
It
big
makes you feel good.
takeaways.
It's one of
Yeah,
those
thank you.
words.
Thank you. Hey, something you tried that didn't work.
Oh God, we could go on for another hour about that. What have I tried that didn't work? I did hire that gentleman, Steve, we talked about earlier. I did allow him to hire his girlfriend at the time. We were looking for somebody to back him up on the phones. We had brought a couple people through. It was during COVID times. And I said, you know, what the hell? Let's try it. And there was a on the table. If it doesn't work, it's not going to work and she's got to go. So we had her there about 3 months and then COVID kicked in and it gave me the perfect opportunity to slide her out. But you could see the performance of his ability to manage the day-to-day operation when he seemed to always having to be helping her with something. And I think it was her really grasping for his attention during the day. Right. So it was, yeah, I don't think people with relationships in a business work. I tried it just to prove it myself because people say it doesn't work and it didn't work for me. And there could be a one-off case where it would. I know there's some husbands and wives that work in businesses together and they're a fantastic team. So
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
brother, he's a carpenter, him and his wife. I seen him chucking trim boards out of a window and calling numbers out to her, and she was cutting trim boards and throwing them back up to him. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, my brother and his wife work very well together, but some people don't. I'd have to go with the
Hey,
80-20 rule on that one. And I
I
have
got to
not
talk.
found anybody at 20%
I got to
to
talk
make
to
it work.
Victoria here. I got to talk to Victoria. All right. Hey, do you own your dream car, Shawn?
My dream car would be, I want one of those Ford Raptor R's that came out, that supercharged pickup truck. I have just a regular Raptor, 2018. I love it. We got some railroad tracks and some trails around here. It's a really nice truck to be taken through the woods, but it soaks the bumps up pretty good.
You're a
One
crazy
thing
guy.
that I was
Love it.
disappointed about is it doesn't fit through a normal car wash. So I got to do the hand wash or go to one of those pressure wash stations. I was like, oh man.
All right.
But now I
Okay.
got some more free time, so I enjoy it.
So I want to open a new shop. Give me advice. Give me 3 important needs that I need to have.
Well, first you need a location. And I'd say my first spot was way in the back of an industrial complex, and it did take a little bit to get it started. You need good people ready to rock and roll and that want to be a part of it. You need good marketing to get the word out. That's it.
Marketing. Oh, I don't know. What is that? Marketing. Oh, and so many open places and they don't market 1 ounce.
Yeah. When we opened up our new shop, we gave the first 100 oil changes away for free. They were gone in a week and 2 days, but it
Wow.
flooded the doors to the neighborhood. And we just did like the surrounding, I don't know, I think we did like 2.5 miles around the shop. And it was really cool. And we had somebody at the front counter there that was doing a good job, making people happy. And it's been awesome. Been up every month since we started.
Cool. Now you said you gave 100 away?
We gave 100 away.
Okay, but did you send out 1,000?
Oh yeah, we sent out. There was probably 25. I think it was 2,500 mailers that went out.
Okay,
The
all right.
first 100 people that showed up for an oil change or an oil service, it was free.
Okay. Now, did you limit it to the first 100 or did you just keep taking them if they came in?
I mean, people came in. We stopped the free ones at the 100, but it was
Okay.
neat. It was 7 days, and the 100 of them were gone.
Oh, I see. Got it. Cool. Okay, so there was a limit on it. So
Yep.
you had a 5% benefit from sending that out approximately, but you did put a time limit or a number on it.
Yep.
Interesting. Good
We
job.
always had we always had cookies and donuts and coffee for the
See? Yeah.
up in the front. It was cool. And a lot of the people that were coming in all knew each other from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we've become the new neighborhood favorite over there. People love what we did with the building. We cleaned the place up, and we're just getting tons of compliments from the local community.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay. Last question. Ever recently fired a customer?
Yeah, it was actually last week was the most recent one.
Okay.
Gentleman came in with a Porsche Cheyenne into our new shop for an oil change. He had an appointment to drop it off and pick it up by the end of the day. And he had started calling our other shop off of the website. There's 2 phone numbers, one for the Kenvil location and one for this location. So the guy got himself all wound up. Hey, I called your phone 5 times. You guys were closed. So I'm looking at what we can do to maybe shift that and make sure we can put something on a message or whatnot. But the guy came in pissed off. My truck's not done yet. I've been trying to call, and our manager, David, there just calmed him down. We kind of reviewed the video at the waiting room and how the guy was acting. And he's like, you just tell Shawn he just lost a new customer. As he walked out, and they weren't quite done with his car. They were just about to drop the panels. He made him put it all back together, and he left without getting the work done, even though we did the inspection, test drive, we're probably about an hour into the process. So I called the guy up and I said, "Hey," I said, "David let me know that you were upset and we didn't have your car done. I guess you were upset. You were trying to call the shop and it was closed. Was it possible you may have been calling the wrong number for our other location? Sorry for any confusion." And the guy started ripping me up and down. They said they would call me, and I said they'd call you when it was done. The guy dropped it off like an hour late. I think he just had some kind of emergency travel trip that he needed to go on. I just said, "Hey, so I'm really sorry. We couldn't please you." I said, "From now on, you're probably better off taking this back to Porsche for your services." And he said, "I'll take this and I'll take my other 5 cars someplace else too." I said, "Hopefully your holiday gets
Yeah.
better," and kind of send him down the road without getting
All
into more detail on the phone calls, which is, you know what? The guy was pissed off at life. I give my guys the opportunity. Hey, if somebody comes in here with an attitude like that, just have them succeed elsewhere. We don't need that.
Yeah, a nice little here's a list of other shops in the area. Thank you so much. Sorry we can't please you. And move on. Those are tough. The reality is that not everyone that is out there, the thousands and thousands of vehicles per bay in America, we're not going to be able to have them all
Yeah,
as really good, well-heeled, relationship trusted clients. We're just not. You have some friends that are no longer friends because it just didn't work, right?
that's right.
Same with
There's plenty of
clients.
cars out there to work on.
Plenty of cars.
And if you got a great staff and your people are happy, you make sure that they're working with happy people. Period. End of story.
I had a blast. Thank you. I
Me
mean, I
too.
think we served up so many incredible, great ideas for our listener and a great way for you and I to start off 2024. Wow,
Yeah.
this was great. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.